Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And we're here today with the Honorable Jean Augustine, someone who I call the quiet storm because of all the things that she has accomplished and the things that she continued to accomplish and what she continues to aspire us with. Miss Augustine has known Toronto quite well, has known Ottawa quite well, has known the Caribbean quite well, and she's also known in Africa. I'd like to say thank you very much, Honorable Jean Augustine, to being here with us and accepting this interview. How are you today?
Well, I'm fine, and I'm so very pleased to have the opportunity to talk with you, Liz. I admire the work you do, and I like your joie de vivre and the spirit with which you approach everything you do.
Well, I thank you. I'll dive right into it because I know that as an immigrant, a lot of us attain to do the best we can in Canada. You have somehow surpassed that. Let's start with the Order of Canada. You received that last year.
Yes.
What was that like? What was that experience like?
Well, it was with tremendous pride that I received the news that I was on the list and that my name was put forward by, I would imagine, any number of Canadians who've supported that nomination. So I'm very pleased for all of the support that I've had. I feel tremendously honored. Every so often, I sit back and I say, from Happy Hill to Parliament Hill, to receiving the highest order in the land. So I'm tremendously proud and I'm tremendously pleased by the honor.
Now, Happy Hill is the place of your birthplace,
Exactly.
and that's in Grenada.
Exactly. Happy Hill, St. George's, Grenada.
Where were you when you heard the news about Hurricane Ivan?
Oh, I was here. I was in, I think I was in Ottawa at the time. And that was really shocking news because, again, as a Grenadian, we usually say, hurricanes don't hit Grenada. And so it was a surprise to hear that, indeed Ivan had created some destruction there. And at the same time, there was an opportunity as a parliamentarian to speak to colleagues, to speak to the government of Canada and those with responsibility for aid and for assistance, and to be asked by the Prime Minister at the time to be an envoy to Grenada on behalf of Canada.
What is Grenada like now? The infrastructure?
Oh, beautiful. Infrastructure is back. Things are hopping along. They've had a change in government since the government that was in power in the time of Ivan. And my understanding, I have not been there for the last couple of years, although I go quite often. So things are looking up, and Grenadians are a resilient people. And so, a little hurricane wouldn't
flatten the whole country, but then they bounce back.
Dampen the spirit, and they've bounced back. And as you know, in most tropical places, vegetation and plants and other things come back kind of quickly.
Yes. Now, you were in the House of Commons at that time, where you no longer.
Yes.
Okay, you have since
2006.
2006.
Yes.
You're now.
I'm the Fairness Commissioner for the province of Ontario.
And what does that entail?
There are about 40 bodies in the province of Ontario that regulate the various professions. Those bodies are called colleges. So you have the College of Physicians and Surgeons, the College of Nurses, College of Teachers, Professional Engineers, Architects, etc. Those bodies have registration processes. So, for example, if you come to Ontario from another province or from outside the country, you have to go to these regulatory bodies for your certification and license. And so those bodies have practices, registration, policies, registration rules, whether you have to take some more exams, whether you have to satisfy criteria laid out by the bodies. So my job as the Fairness Commissioner is to make sure that those bodies have registration rules and practices that are fair, that's objective, that's transparent, that's impartial, and that they give answers to people in a timely fashion.
What a position, and a position that is well suited to you because you've always dealt with multiculturalism.
That's right, and I was also the Secretary of State and the Minister for Multiculturalism.
Right. Now you will, we can't leave out your time at the House of Commons. We cannot leave out that you were the parliamentary secretary, okay?
To the Prime
To the
Minister.
Prime Minister, okay? That's Jean Chrétien, the Honorable Jean Chrétien. What was that experience like? I mean, you were, every time I look on television and he's there arguing and you are right behind, sitting right behind him, just maintaining your composure. You were alone up there at the top as a black woman.
Well, I was the first African Canadian woman elected to the Parliament of Canada. And oftentimes when I say this and when I speak to young people, I say, look, we have had or Parliament or Constitution, Confederations, 1867. So from 1867, it was not till 1993 that the first black woman, the first African Canadian, got into the House of Commons. We had two men. We had Lincoln Alexander, who was the first, followed by Howard McCurdy, and then I arrived as the first African Canadian. And so that was quite
an accomplishment.
I would say so, immodestly.
Immodestly, an accomplishment. So on a day-to-day basis, what would the Prime Minister, what kinds of things would you be doing? I mean, like it's a beautiful title, but really don't know. What were you doing?
Well, every minister has a parliamentary assistant. That is another member of Parliament who helps the minister with responsibilities. And so as parliamentary secretary to the Prime Minister, my responsibility was to do whatever I was asked to do to assist the Prime Minister in his day-to-day work and management of the affairs of the House.
And one of the things that you accomplished while you were up there was to have Black History Month, February, as something that all Canadians are going to enjoy. Tell me a little bit more about that. How important is that?
You have to recognize too that I came from education, and I came from an area where I was ensuring that as an African Canadian, I was ensuring that young people know about our culture and know our history. And I always felt that in teaching this and in talking about this in classrooms, that I was really at risk simply because, and other teachers, other black educators, because it was not in the curriculum per se, and it was not sanctioned by any authority, school board or otherwise. And so when there was this opportunity, and I was in a place where I could make this something that could permeate throughout the land, then it was a simple motion. And we don't have time here to go through the whole process as to how that came about and how I had to work to get the motion accepted as a unanimous consent to the motion. So I had to make sure that all the colleagues would say yes when I put the motion forward. So it meant working with colleagues on all sides of the